why is something that seems pretty straightforward? I'm not a professional economist like you, but it seems everybody in the media seems to understand this very basic dynamic. So it seems almost straightforward. Could you tell us what happened in the 2022 budget in terms of some of the taxes? I know that they increased some taxes, but not all. Could you touch on that briefly?
Sure. So I think the biggest, I mean, we just look at the total number, total value of the tax revenue that was collected. Okay. And we should keep in mind that tax revenue is a significantly huge proportion of government revenue. Right. There's a very small margin, sort of very small component of non-tax revenue. So that is essentially where the government gets all its money. Right. So if the government was to go for a sort of reducing taxes and trying to give tax breaks to encourage private businesses to set up and, you know, maybe increase employment, then you also have to think about how are you really going to go for such a big budget deficit and how are you going to cut down on expenses. But unfortunately, we did not see a shift in sort of, or a change in the expenses that the government was sort of, you know, wanting to spend. Okay. So then we ended up with this huge budget deficit, and it's a bad situation to be in. Right.
You mentioned on your blog specifically the motor vehicle accident tax, which is a very strange tax to have brought about. Yes. I'm not sure what the thinking was behind that. But then the obvious ones they've done is the social security contribution tax, which you mentioned, VAT on financial services, which I think makes sense, cigarettes excise. What is the do we have a lot of indirect taxes, do you think, relative to, from the data that you've seen, relative to other economies of our size and scope? Do you think our consumption taxes are too high? Do you think at the moment we don't have a choice, we may have to increase them anyway? What do you think?
I have not looked at sort of compared Sri Lanka to other countries, right. But if we look at our own sort of how tax, the composition has evolved, we do collect a lot of the revenue from taxes on goods and services and border taxes.
Indirect taxes.
Indirect taxes, which are, you know, which it's proven that it's, you know, it is regressive because it sort of disproportionately burdens a lot of poor people who, you know, go out and buy, you know, just their goods, everyday stuff from the supermarket.